What is the best way to treat chicken skin? Today, let's talk about some derm-approved products for Keratosis Pilaris. Hi, my name is Dr. Jenny Liu. I'm a board-certified dermatologist, and today I want to share with you my most recommended products for my patients who suffer from Keratosis Pilaris or chicken skin. Keratosis Pilaris is so common, super common. I see it all the time in my practice, and I suffer from it myself personally, and so does my daughter. It is essentially a form of dry skin, believe it or not. And what is happening is when the skin is dry, it doesn't desquamate properly and it clogs up the follicles on our skin, leading to that dry, bumpy texture. It tends to run in families, and most commonly it occurs on the back of our arms, on the back, as well as the thighs and lower legs. And some people will even get it on their cheeks. Certain cases, less commonly, these bumps can get inflamed. For the most part, they're not symptomatic. They may be a little itchy. P is often associated with dry and eczema-prone skin, so we tend to see these in combination. But luckily for KP, unlike eczema, it is something that we tend to grow out of over time. Today, I'm going to share some skincare tips as well as products that I frequently recommend to my patients that suffer from dry, flaky, as well as bumpy skin. Moisturizers are really important, but also bathing can be very helpful in how you bathe. You want to minimize hot water. You want to minimize the amount of water contact time. Usually, I recommend that for everyone, including kids and adults. We really want to minimize the use of soap or cleansers to where we need it most on a day-to-day basis, which is armpits and buttocks. I mean, unless you are covered in dirt, or for our little ones and poop, you really don't need soap everywhere. Really, for Keratosis Pilaris, the most effective is using products, usually moisturizers, that are going to help with exfoliating the skin, moisturizing the skin, and really helping with that bumping texture. Usually, these moisturizers contain chemical exfoliants that's going to help to not only act as humectants, help to improve the skin moisture barrier, but also help over time to gently exfoliate and remove that dead skin that's clogging the hair follicles. The first product is from Amlactin. This is one you guys have probably seen and heard about a lot. This contains ammonium lactate, which is the salt form of lactic acid. And we know lactic acid, number one, is a very gentle exfoliant, but two, this formulation also acts as a humectant. This one is great because you essentially can use it and should use it like a body moisturizer, and that's what I do. Keep in mind that when you're treating KP, it's gonna take some time for that bumpy skin to improve over time. So you're not gonna notice any improvement by using it for a day or two. The benefit really comes from weeks and months of use. And it is something that I do recommend using on an ongoing basis when you notice improvement, because once you stop, since you are inherently prone to KP, it will eventually build back up. Now, this one does contain 15% lactic acid, and so for some individuals with really sensitive skin, you may find that this may burn on contact. And so one other option you can consider is from First Aid Beauty. This contains 10% lactic acid, along with colloidal oatmeal and urea, as well as ceramides. And it's a thicker cream, and it's just another great one to use as a body moisturizer to help with dry skin. This is a thicker cream. It applies very nicely, and once it's absorbed, it's not very heavy. It doesn't feel very sticky. So a great one for those who don't like thicker creams. Another option is from the Cerave line, their Essay Lotion for rough and bumpy skin. And this one is really unique because it contains lactic acid, ceramides, hyaluronic acid, but also contains salicylic acid as well as vitamin D. Now, salicylic acid is another great chemical exfoliant, and we hear a lot in the world of acne and helping with oily skin. But here is just helping to improve that rough and bumpy texture. Vitamin D is very interesting because vitamin D, we use it as a prescription to treat psoriasis. Vitamin D is really important in skin turnover. And so all of this together just means that you're going to have a really good product and keeping your skin hydrated and improving that KP texture. One last option that I want to talk about is the one from Eucerin, their rough and bumpy line. And I like this one because in addition to lactic acid, also contains ceramides and urea. But I really like it because of the unique texture. It's got this creamy gel-like formulation, and it applies very nicely, very smoothly, absorbs very quickly, but it doesn't feel heavy, but yet it leaves your skin feeling really, really soft. So I love this too, like spot treat areas for those who don't want to use a moisturizer with lactic acid all over their body. And I also love this because of how soft it makes my skin feels on my hands and feet for those rough areas that I experience from, just the winter as well as chronic hand washing. So this is another great one to check out. You hear me talk about urea. Urea is actually made naturally by our skin. It's part of that natural moisturizing factor that keeps our skin moisture barrier intact. When it's present in moisturizers, it's essentially acting as a humectant. And I actually think urea is an underrated ingredient that we should use it more often. As dermatologists, we actually prescribe urea, and in the highest concentration that's available, 40%, it's strong enough to almost dissolve, thicken nail, and really callous skin. Now, over the counter, you're gonna find usually 20% or less formulations. And so it's another great humectant to help with dry, rough skin. Now, one thing I like about urea over lactic acid is that it doesn't burn. By the sheer nature of how it works in drawing water to the skin, it also does help over time improving the flakiness, the rough, bumpy texture of Keratosis Pilaris. One moisturizer that I really like, really for my hands and feet to be honest, is the one from Cerave. They're a diabetic dry skin relief. Now, it's labeled for diabetic patients, but really anybody can use it. It just really contains a blend of ingredients, including urea, along with their ceramides. And I find this moisturizer to be very thick. I will literally apply this to my hands before I sleep. A couple of things to keep in mind when you're using, AHA or BHA based moisturizers. Number one, it does thin out your stratum corneum, so it makes your skin more prone to sunburn. So definitely be very careful when you're using these as body moisturizers, as you should anyway be applying sunscreen to your body or wearing some protective clothing. The other thing is that because it does contain acid, if you do have like little scrapes or trauma to your skin, or even say razor burn, if you were to apply the moisturizer over those areas, it will temporarily cause some burning and stinging sensation. I definitely don't recommend applying these moisturizers on open wounds. It's not in any way causing harm to your skin, but just realize that you will experience some burning and tingling. It's very transient, lasts for a couple seconds, and will resolve. Lastly, just please make sure to read the label to check all the ingredients present. If you are pregnant, alpha hydroxy acid is very safe. So urea and lactic acid is very safe. But if you are using a product like the one from Cerave that contains salicylic acid and you're using that all over your body on a daily basis, potentially that could lead to absorption of salicylic acid. I talked about this in my pregnancy skincare video, so feel free to check that out to learn more about salicylate and salicylic acid use in pregnancy. One more thing I forgot to mention. For those individuals who are experiencing very severe cases and or experiencing inflammation or redness with their Keratosis Pilaris, you may need a prescription topical medicine like a topical steroid prescribed by your dermatologist to treat that. And sometimes we may even prescribe like prescription topical retinoids for those really challenging cases that are not responding to over-the-counter moisturizers. So definitely check these out, but if you're not getting better, please see your dermatologist. So those are my most commonly recommended products for treatment of Keratosis Pilaris. Have you guys tried any of these? Which one do you guys use? Comment below and let me know. As always, you can find more of me on my social media accounts, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.